Good evening, Steel City. Welcome to the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. A 68th edition live from the original podcast room with the black and gold paraphernalia. On tonight's show, the Pittsburgh Steelers completed their 2025 draft by a different route expected. Quarterbacks, early round, wide receiver, O-line, not even close. Defense, running back, quarterback, 6th round. They went old school. And the returns on this draft could be a good one. I will go over all the picks and give it a grade. Hashtag, here we go. Pittsburgh Penguins' 2024-25 season has ended. As mentioned last week, we reported that head coach Mike Sullivan would return. Well, in a face-to-face meeting, GM Kyle Dubas heads to Mike Sullivan's location and relieves him of his coaching duties for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I have the story of one of the best coaches the Penguins ever had being let go in the Burgh. Thank you, Mike Sullivan. Let's go, Pens. The Pittsburgh Pirates have had a dark cloud following from the beginning of the baseball season. At this point, you could say the team has been shipwrecked. The season has become an ugly sight after this past week. Let's go, Bucks. We have the Yinzer Report, chat open as always for this episode. Please be kind, come by, leave a message in our chat. Friday night, the Yinzer Report. Coming up, I will start today's shows off with our tremendous sponsors, IE Sports Radio's new sponsor, Vital, along with amazing Planet Jerky, premium beef jerky, the jerky that's on another planet. Feel the deal, wax seals. You bring the deal. We'll bring the seal. Plus, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports and why we are on the air doing this Yinzer Report. Steel City, Pittsburgh. Please come join me on my 68th episode. 47 live on the StreamYard. Also live on YouTube. This is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport. Let's go!
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at @sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Well, good evening, everybody. This is Ralph Calise, your host of the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Welcome to the Friday night show. Back on the air Friday night. And, those are the sponsors for the station. So please always never discount our sponsors. They mean a lot to us. And check them out. Bunch of variety of sponsors there to go through for IE Sports Radio. They keep the lights on and they keep us going on the air. So thank you for listening to the sponsors. And let's just get into a couple of things here right now. As you know, my name is Ralph Calise. I am the host of the Yinzer Report, and my contacts are on X at YinzerReport_IE and at CaliseR786. If you have anything you'd like for me to try to get into for you on the show, or something I may have missed, or something you don't like that I said, or anything, hit me up on either one of these contacts. The Yinzer Report is for the show. The at YinzerReport_IE is for the show. And my personal account is at CaliseR786. Okay, so all right, let's get rolling here because we have a lot to get through, and we're going to start the show off. And the Yinzer chatter chat is open. If anybody out there wants to pass by and throw a comment in, please feel up to doing so. It's my favorite part of the show, going through the chat and I like to know what's going on with my fans out there and everything that else is happening. Maybe something I missed. All right, so let's get into this. The draft, of course, was this past week, and it started on Thursday night, and it went through the weekend, and it wound up that the Steelers had 7 picks. They didn't make any trades, as I thought was going to happen, and they did not draft the quarterback in the first round. Like I said in prior shows, if a certain college player named Shedeur Sanders would drop, hopefully they would draft him. I did pick in a mock draft Jason Dart, but none of that happened. The Steelers threw a curveball at us. So let's get into it. I wrote like a little report on it, and we'll go over the players and whatnot. So we'll get into the draft, and the Steelers haven't drafted an all-pro player or multiple Pro Bowl selections since T.J. Watt in 2017. They are still waiting on each of their previous 2 number 1 picks. That's Troy Fontenot, who was drafted last year number 1, but he got hurt, and Broderick Jones to become players they envisioned, though for different reasons. All 5 of the first-round selections that preceded those 2 are no longer with the team or even received a second contract. But that hasn't stopped them from putting together deep and productive draft classes. But what they did over last week and last weekend, especially without a second round selection, appears to have made them better, or as general manager Omar Khan said shortly after the draft ended, better than they were before the draft. Of the previous 2 seasons, and this one has a chance to make it 3 in a row. So the first 5 picks from each of the 2023 and 2024 draft classes have all become major contributors for the Steelers, including starters Jones, as we mentioned, Broderick Jones, center Zach Frazier, cornerback Joey Porter Jr., and defensive tackle Keanu Benton. And the first 5 picks from the 2025 draft that concluded Saturday have a chance to immediately do the same. So their first pick was Thursday night, 21st pick, and as I'm watching it, I'm thinking Shedeur Sanders is going to be picked. That did not happen. The Steelers went a completely different route, and they picked a defensive lineman from Oregon named Derek Harmon. Okay, so Derek Harmon was picked. They went right after what they needed and never really deviated from their approach, which was, by the way, never included Shedeur Sanders. That's what I put in the notes. So round 1 was Derek Harmon. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but there's a little story behind it. He was at home in Michigan, and he took the phone call from the Steelers, and he had his family around him, but there was one person missing, and it was his mom. And you could see the emotion from when they drafted him. Now, as this is going on, mind you, I'm flipping out. I'm going crazy. We didn't draft a quarterback. We still don't have a number 1. We still don't have a quarterback. And I know not that I didn't know nothing about the guy. I knew he was a good defensive lineman, but I did not. You know, I'm flipping out saying I don't understand this pick. We need a quarterback, and the guy that I've been talking about for the past 3 weeks was right there. Could have brought the aura to Pittsburgh as a quarterback, but as we all know, he went in like the 6th or 6th round, I believe, 5th or 6th round. I'm sorry, 5th or 6th round to the Cleveland Browns. So there was no quarterback, but there was Derek Harmon. So now, as they're showing him, he's very emotional. He gets drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're showing highlights of him, but at the time, nobody knew what was going on behind the scenes. His mom was on life support in the hospital while he was at home waiting to get drafted. And when the Steelers called, she wasn't there. She was in the hospital. So what had happened was he went after he was drafted, and things calmed down. He had to speak to. He went to the hospital to share the moment with his mom, who they said was on life support. And it happened the next morning that the mom had passed away. She had passed on the next morning. I was on 2 shows last week for the post draft after round 1, and 3 and Out with Larry B with a couple of other colleagues from the show. And I picked this draft pick as one of my favorite picks of the whole draft because of what happened. At first I'm flipping out. I wasn't a fan of it. But any Steeler fan out there, and listen to me as I say this, you have to embrace this pick, whether you like it or not. And to me, it was a great pick. I think this kid's going to be a stud. This is what we needed, but we'll get into that as we go on. You have to embrace this just for the fact of what happened. Okay? And if you have no heart in your soul about what happened with this poor kid and his mom, then I don't know what to tell you. Then don't watch football and don't watch the Steelers this year. But as Steeler fans, we have to embrace this kid for what happened. He's now in Pittsburgh, and he's going to be taken care of in Pittsburgh. And hey, I took now later on thinking on it was a great pick. All right, so let's besides all that story with his mom and everything, let's get into the player. Taking a defensive lineman in the first round was never really a question for the Steelers, as it turned out later on. It was just a matter of which one. They were prepared to take one of the 3 at number 21, be it Harmon, who they wound up taking, Kenneth Grant, and Walter Nolan. And it almost didn't matter which one, according to what they were saying after the press conference after they drafted him. Either way, the Steelers got what they really needed, and they wanted a big, powerful lineman who can play, run, and collapse the pocket. Doesn't that sound familiar of somebody we already have on the team? Yeah, Cam Hayward. Harmon will immediately play in Larry Ojunabi's former spot. So after I looked at it and seen it, the defensive line, and after you look at it and you see what happened last year at the end of the season, the way they got gashed in the last 3 games of the season, and then the playoff game versus the Ravens when they ran for almost 700 yards, the Steelers, they needed this. This was the pick. They had to do this. They had to do this. So, like I told you, I gave this pick an A+. This was my favorite pick, not just being a homer, rooting for the Steelers, but being because of what happened to this poor kid. And I was calling it on that post draft show I was on last week with Larry B. And my 2 colleagues. I was calling it a circle of life. There you are. You got the world in your hands. You're going to be a professional football player. The kid knew he was going to get drafted in the first round. That's probably why he wasn't there at the draft Thursday night. And he's dealing with his mom, who he called his sidebar for life. And it's just a crazy story. And I hope everything works out for this kid and his family. And I'm one Steeler fan who's so happy that he is on the Steelers, and he's quickly becoming one of my favorite players. And he hasn't even put a uniform on yet. All right, so round 2 they had no pick, okay, but don't forget they traded for DK Metcalf and they gave up that 2nd round pick to Seattle. So you could say your 2nd round pick was DK Metcalf, top 5 wide receiver in the NFL without a doubt. So we'll put that in there as our number 2 pick. Okay, so round 3, they drafted Caleb Johnson, a running back from Iowa. Now, if you don't follow college football, I'll just say this right off the top because this always comes to me when I'm watching college football and I see Iowa. I call the Iowa Hawkeyes in college football the baby Steelers. And why? Just go take a look at their uniforms. They're black and gold. So the write-up on this was running back was going to be the first option in the first round if they couldn't get any of those 3 tackles. But they did draft Eric Harmon. They went right after what they needed, and it never really deviated from this point. Neither. They determined that they were going to find their replacement for Najee Harris and get back to the pair in tandem with Jaylen Warren. Just as important, Warren is an unrestricted free agent after the 2025 season, who, like Harris, is just as unlikely to be re-signed. So ideally, Johnson gives them their lead back for 2028 season. His speed is not that good, but he has the size. He's 6'1", 224, and toughness to break tackles, and it's very tough at times. He even looks like Le'Veon Bell. Anybody out there remember Le'Veon Bell? Shows similar patience and vision. Getting him in the third round was a bonus, and I gave this pick an A. So another need. They needed another running back. Like I mentioned, the contract situation with Jaylen Warren. And lo and behold, they pick a guy who has been wearing black and gold for his past 4 years in college. And now he'll be wearing black and gold in the pro. And I'm looking forward to seeing this kid elevate as a top-notch running back in the NFL. Okay, so round 4, they picked the outside linebacker Jack Sawyer from the Ohio State Buckeyes, the national champions of college football. The Steelers wanted a bigger, more physical player to back up T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith, and that's what they got with Sawyer, who played defensive end at Ohio State. We have Nick Herbig, who is more a finesse player. Sawyer is the opposite, a player who is going to be setting the edge against the run, and it was apparent that getting better at stopping the run was top priority for the Steelers, like they did with Herbig and Peyton Wilson. Finding a linebacker such as Sawyer in the middle rounds can be the key to elevating the quality of this draft class. I gave this pick an A+. So as you can see, the Steelers went old school in this draft. Right after they drafted 2 out of their 3 picks were defense. Round 5, here's another defensive guy. Yahya Black, a nose tackle. And here is another player who will be donning the black and gold after he wore the black and gold in college. He is also from Iowa, like Caleb Johnson. So the Steelers hadn't taken 2 defensive linemen in the first 5 rounds of a draft in 31 years. 31 years. How old were you 31 years ago? But they did it further. They did it to further. Hold on a second. Yeah, they did it to further desire themselves to get bigger, better, and more youthful along the line of scrimmage. I remember I said their defensive line was basically there's nobody there. It's just Keanu Benton and Cam Hayward. And Cam Hayward is coming towards the end of his career. Well, at least these guys will have a great mentor. Like I said, he's bigger, better, more youthful along the line of scrimmage, and they are applauded for that. Yahya Black is a big-bodied nose tackle, 6'6", 331 pounds, who will improve the depth and be part of a rotational system used by defensive line coach Carl Dunbar. More important, he will be used in short yardage situations to help stuff the middle, but the coaches have to develop Black and get more out of him than they have with Marvin Leal and Isaiah Leremilk. I gave this pick a B. Okay, so the next pick was Will Howard, quarterback from the Ohio State national champion Buckeyes. Now, of course, quarterback is a big deal right now because the Steelers are still waiting on Aaron Rodgers, although there are signs that they have already signed them. We're just waiting on Aaron Rodgers to announce it, but who knows, that might take a turn. It's, we'll see what's going on with that. But anyway, they went for a quarterback in the 6th round. And, of course, finding a quarterback in the 6th round who played his best at most critical times and won a national championship is not always easy to do. It wasn't like Howard had one big game when Ohio State defeated Notre Dame in the title game. He was superb in all 4 college football playoff games with a 75.2 percentage completing his passes and 1,150 yards and 8 touchdowns. Howard is not going to challenge to be a starter and is destined to be the best quarterback in 2025, but he has the chance to develop and be a solid backup for years, much like Mason Rudolph has been. Yeah, so and if anything, he's going to be Mason Rudolph's backup probably at the beginning of the year. Like I said, even if Aaron Rodgers comes, he can learn behind a future Hall of Fame quarterback. And, I like the pick. I gave it a B. And just to move on, round 7, Carson Bruner, inside linebacker. I don't know if the Steelers fans out there remember Mark Bruno, who played for the Steelers. He was a tight end. This is his son. So the write-up I have on him is there is no room on the inside for Bruner, the son of former Steelers tight end Mark Bruner, not after the Steelers signed Malik Harrison in free agency and are planning on the return of Cole Holcomb. But there is plenty of room for him on special teams, where he was a Danny Smith favorite type player. Danny Smith, the special teams coach for the Steelers in Washington. Bruno was a tackle machine in college, one of just 2 players at the power conference schools with over 100 tackles, 3 interceptions. If you're going to find a special teams player with Steelers, like the Steelers do, the 7th round is a good spot to do it. I gave this pick a B. So they went after this kid in the 6th round also. I'm sorry, the 7th round, their first pick in the 7th round, and they got a Steeler player. Let's just put it that way. He sounds like a real typical Steeler player. All right. Also in round 7, they drafted a cornerback, Dante Kent. The Steelers didn't have a pressing need to find a quarterback for this season, not after signing Darius Slay as a starter, but they are always looking for slot corners, and that's where Kent likely fits his best. He has impressive speed, athletic ability, and is a good tackler, which comes in handy along the line of scrimmage. When drafting this low, there's nothing wrong with taking a chance on a player with speed and eye-popping measurables. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. So I gave this pick a C. Kind of a reach, but hey, the kid makes special teams. He also did return punt returns in college, so there's that. So that was the draft, and overall I gave the draft an A. I gave the Steelers draft an A. Like I said at the beginning, they piled up on what they needed to pile up, and that was the offensive line. I'm sorry, the defensive line, excuse me. The defensive line, and they did that, and they went defense. They went old school, like I said at the beginning. It was an old school draft, and they did it. They drafted all these players that nobody saw coming. And they said at the post-conference after the draft is, these are the guys we had on the board, the guys that were there. Our phones were ringing, and we weren't answering the phones. We were going along with our picks. So we'll see how everything pans out with the picks. All right, so let's hit the comments. This is the Yinzer Chatter Chat for Friday night. And hold on one second. Let me just put this back up there. All right, here we go. Who is the first one in the chat tonight? I see there are a couple of chats over here. Okay, so first one, Raymond Mann. Hey, Ralph, have a great show. Thanks, Ray. Thanks for tuning in. Raymond also posts a question. Hey, Ralph, how many of the 7 draft picks do you think will make the team? That is a great question, my man. Well, as you know, in prior shows, I've been saying that because draft time was here, when the Steelers draft players, normally when when I go to camp every year, there's the aura out there that their draft picks are going to stick. So if they draft 6, if they draft 7, they draft 8, normally 5, or depending on what it is. If it's 6, you'll get 3 to 4 to stick. If it's 7, you'll get 4 to 5 to stick. And if it's 8, you'll get 5 or 6 to stick. So that was a great question, and I hope I answered it the way you wanted me to. But yeah, when they draft, they draft players that stick around. Not many of them. Not many of them get cut. Next up is our bleeping city, Mikey Two Guns, my Hall of Fame brother for IE Sports Radio. As people know from Mikey joining in on the show, we have me and Mikey Guns were nominated into the Hall of Fame last year for IE Sports Radio back to back. So there he is. He goes, "What's up, my Hall of Fame brother?" And he goes, "You see that Pittsburgh fan that fell from the stands? Crazy." Yes, we're going to get into that with the Pirates next. What he's referring to is the game the other night, a a Pittsburgh fan fell over the railing where the Clemente wall is. And, of course, it's 21 feet high because of the number of Clemente. It's Clemente's wall. It's got his logo up there and everything. And, yeah, the guy fell over. It wasn't a good sight. To me, it looked like he landed right on his head. But, yeah, I'll speak about that when we come up. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for the questions, Mikey. Speaking of Danny, my nephew Danny is in there. And, hey, Ralph, have a great show. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, buddy. That is my behind-the-scenes man for the Yinzer report right there. My nephew, Danny, man. And he says, what do you think of the Penguins coaching getting fired and going to the Rangers? Yeah, Danny, I got a whole report on that coming up. I didn't think he was going to get fired. Last week I reported that Kyle Dubas, the GM, said that he wasn't going anywhere. And then this week came and he was fired. Not fired the way they said it. He was relieved of his coaching duties. So I guess you could say fired. But they didn't put it that way because Mike Sullivan is a great coach and he did a lot for Pittsburgh. But we're going to get into that in a little bit. All right. So that's it for the Chatter Report for now. Let me take a quick break. And when we get back, we're going to get into the Pirates. And I'll mention something about what happened over there at the game with that poor fan that fell out of the stands. But let's go through these drops. These are a couple of my colleagues. Take a listen, and these are my colleagues on IE Sports Radio with their shows. These are their drops. We call them drops. All right. This is the Yinzer Report, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
What's going on, Kansas City sports fans? I am the greatest of all time, the best in the world, but more importantly, the owner of the world, Brandon the Franchise Buck, and I am your host for the show. This is KC Sports, which you can find right here every Monday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Now, are you looking for a show that you can watch live or listen to later on that talks about the Kansas City Chiefs, the Kansas City Royals, Sporting KC, KC Current, as well as even the Kansas City Mavericks? Or do you want to listen to a show that talks about your high school sports, whether it be on the Missouri side or the Kansas City side? Let's even talk about college. Let's talk about KU. Let's talk about K-State. Let's talk about Mizzou. And let's talk about your boys' alma mater, the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. All in all, it doesn't matter. If it's Kansas City anything, we will talk about it on this show every Monday at 2 p.m. We'll talk about stuff that's happening in your area, let alone Union Station, Power and Light, T-Mobile Center. It doesn't matter. If you want to talk about it, join our segment, the Fan Interaction segment, every Monday at 2 p.m. and make sure you get your voice heard. Until then, I hope you check out the show. As always, I am the greatest of all time, the best in the world, but more importantly, the owner of the world, Brandon the Franchise Buck, and I am your host every Monday at 2 p.m. on This is KC Sports, which you can find right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, IE Sports Radio family and other sports families. My name is Alden Kay, and I want to welcome you to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you're a fan of the Valley and the Grand Canyon State like me, then I've got the show for you. Tune in every week, where I will update you and give you the latest news for the Arizona Cardinals, Phoenix Suns, Arizona Diamondbacks, ASU Sun Devils, U of A Wildcats, GCU Antelope, and of course, the NAU Lumberjacks. Again, if you're a Valley sports fan and like all that is desert sports like me, tune in every week here on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll see you then.
All right, welcome back. This is Ralph Calise, your host of the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And our next segment will be the Pittsburgh Pirates. As you can see in my block there, I have Pittsburgh Pirates shipwreck is in progress. So let's just do a little timeline recap here with the Pirates. And it's really getting bad. It's getting worse. So we started out. We're gonna do a timeline. When we went back, they had the team fan fest, and they had all those crazy things happening at the fan fest that I mentioned on prior shows. The season started. They really didn't sign any big free agents. They signed a couple of low-key veterans to fill out the lineup. They did make a trade for a player named Spencer Horowitz from the Blue Jays, and he was supposed to be the first baseman. He hurt his wrist, and he was deemed out for the first 6 weeks of the season, therefore having the Pirates trying to fill the first base void, which they didn't do. Then came the Roberto Clemente logo being taken off the sidewall, with Roberto Clemente Jr., the son of Roberto Clemente, questioning the Pirate organization about what's going on. And meanwhile, while all this is going on, the Pirates are not playing good baseball at all. They're winning 1 game, 2 games, losing 3 games, getting swept, winning 1, 2 games, getting swept. That happened. Then the thing with the Pirate fan bricks that they had at the stadium there, the new stadium when it was new, PNC Park, they were found in a dumpster. But the Pirate organization went around that, and they got the fans hooked on that they were just saying they were holding the bricks in storage in a dumpster because they were going to do like a memoriam with them. They were going to set something up. And then comes this week. Okay, so as was mentioned in the comments by Mikey, I believe it was Tuesday night. The Pirates are playing the Cubs. They were tied at 2, or they were losing 3-2, and Andrew McCutchen hit a double, and he drove in 2 runs, and the Pirates were up 4-3. As this is happening, there is in PNC Park there is a 21-foot wall with the railing, and the fans in the background could sit. There's a lot of seats. There was a fan who later on was very inebriated. The guy just toppled over the railing. And if you go and watch it anywhere on video, you go out there, I'm sure you'll see it. It's all over the place. To me, it looked like he landed on his head. Just an insane scene. The way the medical people were out, it was a long delay. They had him stretchered. He was in bad shape. It was just a bad look for everybody. And it came out today that the medical update on the fan is that he's in critical condition. And I'm telling you, if you see this video, this young man fell right on his head. It was scary. It was like something out of a movie. He tumbled and everything, and just right on his head. So you had that. And then yesterday, Paul Skeens takes the mound and goes out there and has the worst pitching performance of his career. So there was a crowd yesterday of 13,633 who turned out for the afternoon game. And there were some in that same front row seat in right field above that 21-foot Clemente wall where the fan fell Wednesday night. The unidentified male was in critical condition at Allegheny General Hospital on Thursday after what the Pittsburgh police described as an accident. The public address announcer read a statement from Pirates owner Bob Nutting before the first pitch, in which Nutting called the incident one of the most difficult moments many of us have ever experienced. You can only imagine. And just before I go on, just to go over that, it said I took this out of a report, and it says the public address announcer. Okay, those are the people that when you're. My deal is you gotta. I'm very very caught up on listening to things. Okay, especially when I'm not in my element. Okay, whether it's at a ball game or it's at a concert, it's at a family function or it's at a friend function. My thought on everything is to listen. Okay, so you're at a baseball game. Here's my thought: when this public address announcer comes on, and he starts going over the ground rules with the fans. Don't go on the field. I know half the people, maybe even more than they don't listen. Nobody listens. Don't talk dirty, or however he puts it in his frame. This is the person you have to listen to. Okay, see, I'm from the New York area, and I'm sure this is everywhere. But we have a saying here in New York: if you see something, you say something. Okay, and what that means is anything you see that doesn't look right, you report to the authorities. Okay, and this is basically what the public address announcer does before every game, in every ballpark or any place you go, and you gotta listen. You gotta listen. You got 2 ears. That's why you gotta listen. This could have been averted. This could have been averted. So Nutting is calling the incident one of the most difficult moments many of us have ever experienced. I'm telling you, go watch the video. You're not gonna believe it. So anyway, getting back to the game, getting back to our beloved Paul Skeens and his worst game of the year, maybe of his career. He walked the bases loaded in the third inning, but escaped the damage by inducing a double play to get out of it. He gave up it says the number of home runs Skeens has allowed in his first 6 starts. Okay, here's where it turns. He gave up 3 in 1 inning. Okay, so he's coming off a performance versus the Dodgers. Remember last week I told you it was muscle. I did the show last week, and he was pitching that night. It was the draft, and Skeens was pitching late at night here on the East Coast. For me, it was late. So I stood up and watched the whole game. He pitched a masterful game versus the Dodgers, and he got the win. So he's fresh off that masterful performance over the Dodgers last Friday, and he labored in this game through his shortest start of the season. Of course, we know he's the reigning National League Rookie of the Year, but he lasted just 5 innings. He had 4 walks, matched his total on the season coming in, and the aggressive Cubs pounced on him in the 5th and turned a 2-run deflect into a 3-2 lead by hitting 3 home runs, 3 solo shots in the inning. Man, and if what I put in that block, if you can't see it, it says Pittsburgh Pirates shipwreck in progress. Oh, yeah, the ship is sinking. It's been wrecked. It's sinking. The team, outside, inside, however you want to put it, it's out there, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse. So they lost 2 out of 3 to the Cubs. And now San Diego is coming in. Before I came on air, the game was delayed, so I don't know if it has restarted up or anything. But it's bad times out there in Pittsburgh. Although they did have 13,000 for a matinee, but Paul Skeens was on the mound because that's been the other problem. The attendance for the Pirates this year has been terrible. Terrible. They're probably ranked at the bottom in attendance for this year. All right. I forgot to do something I wanted to go over. Let's go back to football. And I did something today because I saw something out there that the Pitt Panthers were facing an opponent that they've never faced, and it happens to be one of their neighbors in Pittsburgh, and it's Duquesne. So Duquesne is another Pittsburgh located team, and that'll be the Pitt Panthers' first game of the season coming up. So I just wanted to throw the schedule out there for the Pitt Panthers. Their 2025 schedule is 119 days away. Probably now like 4 hours and 20 minutes. They have a tracker on their X Twitter feed. It's great. But yeah, so we'll just say 119 days away. And yeah, their first game is going to be at home versus Duquesne, and it's going to be in Pittsburgh. So that should be something. That should be a good game. I'll just go through it real quick. Then they're home against Central Michigan, which is September 6th. And Central Michigan is team Antonio Brown. Remember, Steel fans remember him? He played for Central Michigan. Then comes the backyard brawl at West Virginia in Morgantown. Ooh, those are always great games, Pitt and West Virginia. Then they come back home on August 27th and they start their ACC schedule versus Louisville. They continue their ACC schedule at home versus Boston College on October 4th. Then they go on the road to Tallahassee, and they're at Florida State. Another ACC matchup on October 11th. They stay on the road. Then next week they'll be at Syracuse. That's another rivalry game for them, but it's now an ACC matchup, so that'll be in Syracuse, New York. Then they come home, another ACC matchup versus NC State on October 25th. Then they got to go out to the West Coast. This is where the ACC combined with East Coast and West Coast teams. So they got to go to Stanford this year on November 1st. And you know how those trips go between the East Coast, West Coast, East Coast. They don't work out too well for the East Coast and the West Coast. It's very documented. If you look that up, you can see that. Then I found this is a very interesting game, and I circled this one on the calendar. They are home versus Notre Dame. I got to look it up. I'll look it up for next week maybe and just find out when was the last time Pitt played Notre Dame. That used to be a great rivalry back in the day. That is November 15th, and that'll be at Acrisure Stadium. Then they go away at Georgia Tech, another ACC matchup on November 22nd, and they'll finish up at home versus Miami in the ACC on November 29th. It's another ACC game. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I saw that they were playing that game with Duquesne. So I figured let me just go over the whole schedule with you. All right, guys, we just hit 100 views. We still got some time left in the show. I'm going to do the Penguins next. And then I have a history update from I did it a couple of weeks ago when I did the show in the afternoon, but I want to put it back out there. And I just want you guys to know it's a little Pittsburgh history so that you could go and tell people, make it look like things about Pittsburgh. I honestly didn't know this. But we're going to get to that towards the end of the show, so stick around for that. We do have a comment up there. Hold on, let me check who's in that comment. Okay, I don't know who this is. This is somebody playing games. All right, we'll take you off. You're deleted. All right, so this is Ralph Calise, host of the Yinzer Report. Hope everyone out there is enjoying the show. We just went over 100 views, and I'm going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, and we're going to do the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I'm going to give you that history moment in Three Rivers Stadium for the Steelers and the Pirates. All right, this is Ralph Calise, your host of the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Oops, sorry.
Cleveland and Columbus sports fans, I've got the show for you. I'm Jen B., host of the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. You want football? I've got the Browns, the Buckeyes, the Eagles, the Purple Raiders, and more for you. You want basketball? I've got the Cavs and the Charge for you. You want hockey? I've got the Blue Jackets and the Monsters for you. You want football, aka soccer? I've got the Crew and the Crunch for you. You want volleyball? I'm going to unleash the fury for you. You want more Cleveland and Columbus sports? I've got them all for you, from the majors to the minors to the college rinks. Catch me, Jen B, every week on the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always willing to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, once again, this is your host, Ralph Calise, for the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And let's get into the Penguins. And as I reported last week, which I hate doing, reporting stuff that I try to research from Pittsburgh, and I researched it, and I had it on the show last week that Mike Sullivan was coming back. This is the Penguins head coach for this year, who has been, as the GM puts it, relieved of his coaching duties right now. So the Penguins are now in the search for a head coach for the hockey team. But last week, he mentioned in his end-of-season press conference that Mike Sullivan was going to come back. And Mike Sullivan is no longer the Penguins head coach. Let's just see how we got to this. So the Mike Sullivan era in Pittsburgh is over after decades spent behind the bench. The Penguins announced Monday morning the team and the two-time Stanley Cup winning coach had agreed to part ways with 2 years remaining on Sullivan's contract. However, President of Hockey Operations Kyle Dubas made it clear in a Monday press conference he was the one to inform Sullivan of the change. Dubas flew to Boston to inform Sullivan on Sunday that he felt it was just time to move on from the winningest coach in Penguins history. Two things can be true. Dubas said that someone can be a great head coach and they'll move on to become a great head coach on their next stop. And it can also be time for a change here. That was the conclusion that he had come to. Was something on his mind during the season. Dubas said he has great respect for Sullivan, and he wanted to see it through to the end of the season before making a decision on his status. The two met here in Pittsburgh last Tuesday. Dubas said he then spent the next few days contemplating whether to make the change. In the end, Dubas said he kept coming back to the fact that in the modern NHL, there is no examples of a coach that won a cup, navigated a transition, and then went on to win another cup with that team. The Penguins are still in the early stages of a replacement. It will be a lengthy process, one that Dubas could last till early June, according to Kyle Dubas. He also said, "I think I have learned in 2 years, in the 2 years, is that there's a reason why it's essentially impossible. It has not been done where a coach has led a team to winning and being in contention, then through a transition all the way back." Dubas said there was a number of factors at play on the relationship side with players and staff that made it very difficult to do so. So Dubas and the Penguins will begin a thorough search for their next great head coach. That's great. That's great how that was written. Dubas is looking for a coach who understands the Penguins are in a time transition. It's going to be continuing to maximize the prime, the end of the careers of some of the players that we have, and it's going to be expeditiously developing some of the young players that have already come onto the roster. They are about to come onto the roster, Dubas said. However, given some of the outside box hires Dubas has already made within his hockey operations department, Dubas is expected to interview a wide, diverse group of candidates with an eye on finding a new head coach who can communicate and develop young players. This situation, after days early, Dubas said at his year-end press conference he expected Sullivan to return as coach, as we reported here on the Yinzer report. However, Dubas did not stop short of declaring that definitively. He's an elite-level coach, as he has shown through his time here and as well as for Team USA. Dubas said last Monday he's been very open about this, is what he wants to do, so we'll just continue to reaffirm that, and as long as he's on that side of it, we'll roll with that. And the decision to move on from Sullivan was a surprise, given that Sullivan stated after the season he intended to coach the Penguins in the 25-26 season, and because both Penguin management and ownership publicly and privately expressed support for Sullivan during the season. Kyle Dubas also added it was a municipal separation. Sullivan has yet to comment publicly. Yeah, he commented publicly. He's now the Rangers coach. He signed with the New York Rangers last night. He's the head coach. Penguin sources strongly denied a local radio report that stated Sullivan had issued a list of demands to Dubas prior to his firing. Dubas also shot that down in his press conference. Dubas revealed he broke the news to Sidney Crosby before he met with Sullivan. And Dubas was asked when the change, what he was thinking. He said there wasn't a disagreement or the two that led to decision, but just a feeling it was time for change. He admitted he had thought at the points during the season. He thought that at points during the season. So he also mentioned in Mike Sullivan he found immediate success with high-tempo style of play that is now prominent in the NHL. Prodded the team's stars just to play in the face of adversity and push the right buttons with his goalie choices. That was the problem with the Penguins this year. Their goalie situation was terrible. They couldn't get a goalie to play and put them on a streak. Jarry was up, then he went down, he came back. Nedeljkovic was playing well, and then he padded off. It was I blame the season on the goalies. And he pushed the right buttons with his goalie choices. All right, so he gave him a positive outlook on the goalies. But in the following years, their stars inched closer and closer to age 40. Other Metropolitan Division teams blew past the Penguins, both figuratively and literally, even when Crosby was going strong. The Penguins have missed the playoffs now 3 straight years. So he also said Sullivan means a great deal to a lot of people in the organization, a great deal to the community, and he will move on from the Penguins. He will move on from the Penguins, having left truly an incredible mark in the franchise's history, the winningest coach in team history, 2 Stanley Cup championships. And that brings me to my next thing here. So that was the story with Mike Sullivan. So this was definitely a Kyle Dubas doing, and he actually went and did this, as I just read. It's the next. Okay, thank you, Mike Sullivan. There it is. He actually went to Mike Sullivan's home in Boston, and he had this meeting with him, and that's where he let him go. But let's just do a quick Mike Sullivan summary for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And once again, thank you, Mike Sullivan, for all you did for the Penguins. His coaching record in 753 games was 409 wins, 255 losses, and the good old 89 overtime losses, where he got a point in those games. Postseason in his first 7 seasons behind the bench. So he was there for 10 years. They didn't make it the last 3. He made the playoffs the first 7 years. He was 44-38 in 82 postseason games, 2 Stanley Cups back-to-back, 2015, 2016. And I found this interesting as I was looking this up today. The Penguins finished second in the Metro Division with 71 points in 2015 and 16, and they won the Stanley Cup. That's insane. They beat San Jose. Just to show you how crazy that is, the next year when they won back-to-back, they had 111 points, and they were second in the Metro Division, and they beat Nashville in the Stanley Cup. And they must have missed first place. I got to look that up. They must have missed first place by a couple of points. That's a lot of points to finish second. And as the aforementioned, 7 playoff appearances and 10 losses. So Mike Sullivan is now gone. As I said, he signed with the Rangers today. Last night, he's now the new head coach for the New York Rangers. And, Ranger fans, they're already winning the Cup next year because, they got Mike Sullivan. Meanwhile, they need a team because that's what they say every year. Yeah, we're winning the Cup this year. We're winning it every year. It's the same thing with the Rangers. But good luck to Mike Sullivan. I think he'll do well in New York. He's got the mantra for it. And, hey, the Penguins are on a new road here looking for a new coach, and we'll have that to track all off season for the Penguins. All right, I can see him going over here, but let me just get this in before we go off the air. And once again, thank you for the up to 125 views and everybody that was in the chatter chat, the Yinzer chatter chat. Appreciate it. Let's go over some Three Rivers history moments, however you want to call it. So I have a black and gold Steelers Pirate history lesson for everyone. And now pay attention. Take notes. There might be a quiz on this on another show. The Immaculate Reception and Roberto Clemente's 3,000th hit are 2 of the most iconic moments in Pittsburgh sports history. I found out that they happen to be 20 feet apart. So what I'm saying is there is a mural of the Immaculate Reception, Franco Harris catching the ball off the ground, not in Oakland Raider people's eyes, and Roberto Clemente's 3,000th hit. These iconic Pittsburgh sports moments happen 20 feet apart at Three Rivers Stadium. This is insane. I just found this out 3 weeks ago. I mentioned this on the Day Show, and I meant to bring it up prior, but I was totally into other stuff. So I figured I'd bring it up once again just to go over it with the night people who might have missed it. So they're 20 feet apart. This, of course, was at Three Rivers Stadium. Clemente was on his moment was September 30th, 1972, and the Immaculate Reception was December 23rd, 1972. They were 90 days apart. So they have 2 statues 20 feet apart. Let's just say my hands are 20 feet apart, 90 days apart. Unbelievable. And they're by PNC Park, where Three Rivers Stadium was knocked down. Basically, PNC Park is the stadium there, and you could go visit the iconic statues that are there. So, yeah. So that's I just wanted to share that with you before we went off the air. All right. So hey, thank you, Pittsburgh, for the great show, and thank you for everybody tuning in. This is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be PM slot Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. So if you're not doing anything, you want to come hang out, appreciate all the comments. Ray Man, Danny Man, Mikey Guns, you guys are the best. Thank you very much. And everybody have a good night. Thank you, Pittsburgh. We'll see you next week. Take care.